There's this moment when you open the document for the first time in 3 months. Your hands are on the keyboard, you scroll through what you wrote, and the first thing you feel is, I don't even know this person anymore. Let's talk about that feeling. This video is about what it actually feels like to come back to your writing after weeks or months away. By the end, I'm going to show you why that gap, that distance you feel from the work, isn't evidence that you failed. It's just part of how writing works. Welcome, everyone. If you don't know me, my name is Daniel, and this is The Story Renaissance. If you've ever abandoned a project for months and then felt too ashamed to open it again, if you've ever thought, I've been away far too long, I should just start something new, this is for you. Because we treat the gap like a failure, like proof that we're not disciplined enough, not serious enough, not real writers. But what if the gap isn't the problem? What if coming back after time away is just part of the process and we're the ones making it harder than it needs to be? Here's what it actually feels like. You haven't opened the document in 2 months, maybe 3. You've been thinking about it, feeling guilty about it, telling yourself you'll get back to it soon, and finally you do. You open the file, you scroll through the pages, and the first thing you feel isn't inspiration or excitement, it's distance. You read the sentences you wrote and they feel like someone else wrote them. The voice doesn't sound like yours anymore. The story feels foreign. You think, what was I even trying to do here? And underneath that distance is something worse, shame. Because you know you're the one who walked away. You're the one who let it sit. And now coming back feels like admitting you failed. So you close the document. You tell yourself you'll try again tomorrow, but tomorrow doesn't come. Because the shame of returning feels heavier than the guilt of staying away. So why does it feel this way? What is it about coming back that makes everything feel so broken? Quick aside, if you've been avoiding opening that document because you don't want to face it alone, I run a community for writers called The Story Renaissance. It's a space where people come back to their work without the shame. The link's in the description below. All right, back to it. Here's the thing about taking time away from a project. You change. The person who started the draft 3 months ago had different energy, different clarity, different ideas about what the story was supposed to be. And now you're coming back as someone slightly different. You've lived more life. You've got different thoughts. You've moved on in ways you don't even realize. So when you read what you wrote, it feels distant because it is distant. You're not the same person who wrote it. And that distance tricks you into thinking you have to start over, that you can't pick up where you left off because you don't remember what you were doing or why it mattered. But here's the truth. You don't need to remember. You don't need to feel connected to the old version of yourself who started this. You just need to keep going from where you are now. But there's something deeper happening when you come back. Here's what makes coming back so hard. The voice that tells you you've already failed. You said you'd finish this and you didn't. You walked away again, just like you always do. And that voice is loud. It's convincing. It makes coming back feel like admitting defeat instead of just continuing the work. So you start negotiating with yourself. Maybe I should start a new project, something fresh, something I'm actually excited about. And that sounds reasonable. It sounds like you're being smart, strategic, listening to your instincts. But what you're really doing is running again. Because starting something new is easier than coming back to something you abandoned. Starting over feels like hope. Coming back feels like failure. The finishing requires coming back over and over. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when the work feels foreign, even when you don't remember why you cared. And that's what most people don't understand about writing. Here's what I wish someone had told me years ago. The gap is normal. Not writing for weeks or months doesn't mean you're not a writer. It means you're a human being with a life that doesn't revolve around the project. Things happen. Life gets busy, you get tired, you lose the thread, and the work sits there, waiting. That waiting period isn't wasted time. It's not evidence that you're not serious. It's just the gap. And every writer has gaps. Every project has moments where it goes dormant. The difference between people who finish and people who don't isn't that finishers never take breaks, it's that they come back. They open the document, even when it feels awful. They read through what they wrote, even when it feels distant. They keep going, even when they don't remember why they started. Because they understand that coming back isn't starting over, it's continuing. And continuing is the only thing that matters. Which brings me to the thing that changed everything for me. Here's what I need you to hear. Coming back after time away is not failure, it's the process. You didn't fail because you took a break. You didn't fail because the work sat untouched for months. You didn't fail because you feel distant from it now. You only fail if you never come back. And I know that sounds simple, maybe even obvious, but most of us don't live like we believe it. We treat every gap like proof that we're not cut out for this. We treat every return like we're starting from scratch, like all that time away erased everything we'd already done. But it didn't. The work is still there. The pages you wrote are still there. The story you started is still there, waiting for you to keep going. And coming back doesn't mean you have to love it again. It doesn't mean you have to feel inspired or connected or certain that it's good. You just have to open the document, read what you wrote, and add the next sentence. That's it. That's the whole thing. Not recapture the magic, not fall back in love with the story. Just keep going. Even if it feels like slogging through mud, even if you don't recognize the voice anymore, even if you can't remember why you cared, because the act of continuing, of coming back, even when it's hard, is what separates writers who finish from writers who don't. The gap doesn't matter. The shame doesn't matter. The distance doesn't matter. What matters is whether you came back. If you've been avoiding a project because you don't know how to come back to it, if you're tired of carrying that shame every time you think about the work you walked away from, I built a space for that. It's called the Story Renaissance. It's a community for writers who've been away and are trying to find their way back. We have a weekly Write Together stream where you can just show up and work on whatever you've been avoiding. And we talk about this, about how to come back without the shame, how to keep going even when you feel distant from the work. No courses, no gurus, just people who understand that the gap is part of it and coming back is what counts. The link's in the description and the pinned comment below. I'd love to have you there. So here's what I want you to take from this. Coming back after time away is not failure. It's not starting over. It's continuing. And the sooner you stop punishing yourself for the gap and just open the document, the sooner you'll finish. Now that you understand this, the next video you need to watch is this one I made about writing not being productivity theater. Because once you come back, you need to stop performing and just do the quiet, invisible work of finishing. And that video shows you how. I'll see you there.